Hello, my lovelies. It is time for my top 10 of 2023. So stay tuned. So when I figured out what my top 10 books for 2023 were, I couldn't really put them in an order other than like the order in which I read them. There was one that I can definitely say this is my number one book, and I'll get to that at the very end. But I thought I would show you my top 10 books in vlog style. So here we go. The first one of those is The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. This thing is so freaking sweet and precious, and I love it so much. And it follows Linus, who he's essentially like a social worker, and he's sent to investigate different schools or orphanages for magical children. And he's sent to this one special one where he has to go and stay for a month to not only check out the orphanage and how it's being run, but also like the person in charge of the kids. And right off the bat, when he was looking at this file to like find out about the students and stuff, or the children there, the first one he looks at is a boy nicknamed Lucy. He's 6 years old. He's nicknamed Lucy because his name is Lucifer, and he's the Antichrist. But really, he's just a 6-year-old boy. And this was just so awesome and sweet, and I loved it, and I gave it 5 stars. Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. So I went into this not expecting to like it at all. I delayed reading it for like ever. I've had it for so long, but I really was just not sure that I would end up liking it, and I freaking loved it. And I gave it 5 stars, and I 100% will continue this series. This is sci-fi. It's about a girl who has always wanted to be a pilot. Her dad was a pilot, but then something happened, and even though he was like one of the most revered pilots, all of a sudden he's now considered a coward and a traitor, and he had to be shot down. And she's been told that she's not going to get into pilot school because of, you know, this defect of being, you know, possibly being a traitor or possibly being a coward. And they don't want her doing what her dad did. And she does manage to get into pilot school with a little help, and even with that, she's told she's never going to get to fly. But then she finds a ship, and this ship is sentient, and her and a friend work to repair this ship so that she can be like, well, fine, I can fly anyway. It's so good. And my favorite character is the ship. Mbot is amazing. So great. Absolutely love this. 5 stars. Then I read One to Watch by Kate Stamen London. This also works for standalone. This also works for a book featuring a game, because there's like a competition in here. It's like a dating, like a reality dating competition kind of thing. Our main character, B, she is a plus size fashion blogger, and she comments about this show, Main Squeeze, about how the women on here are not what the average woman looks like, and that they never have any plus size women on there, and they invite her to be the next like bachelorette kind of thing. And she's like, okay, she's gonna do this for publicity for her blog, for the show, all this stuff. But she's like, you know, I'm not going to be actually trying to fall in love with these guys or anything. But of course, you know, that happens. But also there's some like some nasty people on, like, it's told in like multiple formats. So you have your story, but then you also have like podcasts and tweets and text messages and all of that. And there's a lot of nasty trolls. The trolls in here made me think of like the trolls that go after, especially like Lizzo I've seen lately, just saying just awful nasty things. But unfortunately that actually does happen. And just trying to be body positive, but also dealing with the trolls and her own self-image, really, and how guys see her and how guys feel about her. And then of course, you know, some guys actually show that they are that shallow. And yeah, it was another fantastic read, and I'm giving this one 5 stars as well. There's also some representation in here for an asexual character. There's also a child in here that is gender non-conforming, and it's so freaking good. I definitely recommend it. And then I read Cursed Princess Club by Lamb Cat. Oh my gosh, this thing is a new favorite. It is so freaking funny, and I cannot wait for the rest of them to come out. This one just came out this year, and I guess volume 2 is coming out in July, I think. But oh my gosh, so we have the Pastel Kingdom, and the king has 3 princesses and a prince. And he comes back from this long expedition, and he tells his princesses that even though he's never even allowed them to look at boys or talk to boys or anything like that, well, now they're going to get married to the princes from the Plaid Kingdoms, or from the Plaid Kingdom. And they are not thrilled about this until they see a picture of... Ooh, sorry, my camera got moved. Of the princes, and they're all hot, and so the girls are like going nuts. Princess Gwendolyn, the youngest, is not necessarily the most attractive, and she seems kind of creepy. And well, her prince is not thrilled about his princess. He thought his princess was actually well, it turned out the one that he thought was the princess was actually the prince. And anyway, in her upsetness, she runs off into the haunted woods, and she comes across the Cursed Princess Club, which are princesses from all over the kingdom that have been cursed but never fully uncursed. So they're like kind of stuck in an in-between, enough that they would get locked away in their kingdom and nobody sees their face. Like this one princess, she got her future prince. He gave her this potion. It was like a Pinocchio potion, because he thought she was cheating, and well, she was cheating. And so every time she lies, her nose like grows, depending on the severity. We have one princess who was a lobster princess and got cursed into this human body, but she still has her lobster claws. Things like that. This was amazing, and I definitely want to read more. 5 stars. And then I read Lore Olympus Volume 1. This was so stinking cute. Sorry if the table's shaking. Of course the dogs are under it wrestling right now. But this is like Hades and Persephone, and Hades makes the mistake of saying that Persephone puts Aphrodite to shame, and so Aphrodite sticks Eros on Persephone. And I will say, even though this is super cute, like the art style is freaking adorable and all of that, there are some not good things in here, so trigger warnings. But yeah, the rest of the story is super stinking cute, and I'm gonna give this one 5 stars. I loved it. So I just finished the 10,000 Doors of January, and okay, before I say my rating, I want to say that this actually surprised me by completing the last prompt I needed for my main courses for Aurelium. So yay, and it's still August because it's the 30th. The prompt for having vampires, because there's a vampire kind of character in here. So I'm counting it. But yeah, I finished it, and it's like bookish book, portal fantasy. It's how to describe it. I think that's pretty much how I can best describe it. And it was so good, and I gave it 5 stars. I loved it. It was great. It's also a love story. It's a love story between a man and a woman. It's also a love story between a father and his child, and it's precious, and I loved it. 5 stars.
I finished it last night, and it was Fourth Wing, and oh my gosh, I understand the hype 100%. Highly, 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 highly recommend this book. I'm so glad I don't have to wait a year for the next one, because I need it now. So good. I haven't been able to take my brain out of this world. This is definitely book hangover kind of book. It's so freaking good, and I was just like, I understand why people might want to read it immediately after reading it, because I just don't want to leave the world. I want to go back and start it all over again. Though I have a bunch of other things I have to read. But if I didn't, I might just do that because it was that good. I might be like, okay, Marty, we got to listen to this together now. Which I probably will do in the future. Because it's so good. Maybe in November when the next book comes out, we'll listen to the first one together. And then we can listen to the second one together. 5 stars. Fantastic.
Okay, so my live reading sprints haven't started yet, but I've been reading One True Loves, and I'm on page 174. Oh, this book, oh my goodness. It's so, like, she is in such a tough position. So we get this whole love story between her and Jesse, high school sweethearts. They fall in love. They go on these adventures together. You know, they're now in their 20s, like 25. They've gotten married. They have this wonderful life. And the day before their 1-year anniversary, he is gone on a trip. The helicopter crashes, and they deem that there's no survivors. And it's heartbreaking. Like, she's devastated because this is the love of her life. And then we gradually get to see her recover and move on and all this stuff. And it's now a couple of years later, and she meets up with a boy that she grew up with, and they fall in love, and they start this whole relationship, and eventually they have this whole life together, and now they're engaged. And then Jesse comes back. He's not dead. He was the only survivor, and he went through this whole turmoil, this whole thing of trying to get back here to her. And it took him a long time to be able to get back, but he did. And now she's stuck with what to do. He's back, and he wants to pick up their life and continue where they left off. And he's still madly in love with her, and she still loves him, but she mourned him. She grieved for him. But at the same time, she loves Sam, and Sam is this wonderful person. And he before Jesse came back, he was like, I'm never going to make you stop, feeling the feelings that you had for him, and he's always going to be a part of you and all this stuff. But that was when they thought, he wasn't alive. And so now Sam's in this position where he loves Emma so much. And he's always loved her since they were teenagers. And he's so happy with this life that they've built. And now Jesse comes back. And she is in a tough position. And I just wanted to come on and say that before my live reading sprint start. But oh my goodness, this book. Whew. Okay, I am currently still in my live reading sprints. I only have like 3.5 minutes to tell you that I finished One True Loves. Oh, this book. I think I cried like 3 times. All on the live. 5 stars. It's fantastic. It's tough. Like I've said repeatedly in the live that I can't imagine being in Emma's position and having to make the decisions that she did. And also the guy's position, like both of the guys. There's no bad guy here. It's just these 2 amazing men. They both love her so much. But just the whole situation is just terrible and hard. But oh my God, this was so good. Ah, so good. 5 stars. It is Saturday, November 18th, and I've completed 2 more books. So the first book I read was Pollyanna by Eleanor H. Porter. This book is freaking precious. It's a classic, and it's about a little girl named Pollyanna who both of her parents have now passed away, and she's sent to live with her Aunt Polly. And her Aunt Polly is a grouchy woman who can't seem to find joy in anything and is not thrilled about having a child come and live with her. But she's doing it because, you know, she's a dutiful woman and this is her duty. And Pollyanna turns Polly and the entire town upside down with her sweetness. And she's lived not an easy life. Her mother passed away 3 years ago, and her father, who's a minister, and her were very poor, and she relied on clothes and things from these missionary barrels. And when she was very little and she got a pair of crutches instead of the doll she wanted, she cried, and her father taught her the what to be glad for game. And from that point forward, she's always tried to find what can she be glad for, even in like the worst circumstance. So for those crutches, she could be glad that she didn't need them. And throughout her whole life, she's done this game. And so she ends up teaching a lot of people in this new town this game and helping a lot of people. And it's just freaking precious, and I give it 5 stars. So it is Friday, December 8th, and I have completed 1 more book. I finished In a Holidays by Christina Lauren, and this is a super cute Christmassy Groundhog Day type thing where it starts out and it's the 26th of December, and our main character, the night before she had, well, actually, let me start that over, that it is the 26th of December, but her and her whole family, as well as her mom's best friend's family, have been going to this cabin every year since before our main character was born, and she's 26. They've been best friends forever. And her mom's best friend has 2 boys. One is the same age as our main character. The other, his name is Theo. The other is Andrew. He's 3 years older. And on Christmas that night, there was some eggnog, and things got out of hand, and she made out with Theo, and it was awful. And she totally regretted it because she's never had a thing for Theo. She's always, just ever since she was 13 years old, has been in love with Andrew. And Andrew has no idea. And the next morning on the 26th, Theo's being weird. They find out that the cabin that they've been going to forever is going to be sold. And this is going to be their last year doing this all together. And things are going to change. And it's just like a really big bummer how everything's ending. And then as her family is on their way to the airport to leave and go back home. They're in a car accident and everything goes black. And when she comes to, she is on the plane. It's December 20th and they're on their way to the cabin. And she's like, what the heck? Am I going crazy? Am I dreaming? What's going on? And she's living the same thing over again. And like that first day is just like pretty much what the heck. But things keep happening and getting sent back to December 20th to live this time over again. And until she figures out what she needs to do and fixes things. And it was so freaking precious and heartwarming, and it felt like a hug, and I loved it, and it was perfect for this time of year, and I gave it 5 stars. So those were my top 10 reads in the order in which I read them for all of 2023. And I'm guessing that you could probably guess which one I would say was my favorite for the whole year. And I would not be surprised if this was not several people's favorite for the year because it was so freaking good. And that was Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. I read both Fourth Wing and Iron Flame this year. I didn't want to include all the sequels for everything because like for Lore Olympus, I did read like the first 4, I think. Cursed Princess Club, I read the first 2, I think, and some things like that. So I didn't want to include all of those. I just was wanting to include the first from each series. But yes, Iron Flame was also 5 stars, and those would have to be my top for the year. It's so freaking good, and I highly recommend it, and I expect that I will see this on a lot of people's top 10 or top whatever. So have you guys read any of these books? Did you like them? Did you not? Comment down below and let me know. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give me a big thumbs up. If you'd like to see more videos like this, click that subscribe button down below. And until next time, remember to always be completely you. Bye!